All right, so this video is going to be Tulsi Gabbard reacting to Kamala Harris's border policy. So this should be a good one. Should be really fun.
Coronations, no primaries, no floor votes, just anoint Kamala Harris. Our next guest ran against then Senator Harris in the 2020 presidential primary, and they had some notable exchanges. From the great state of Hawaii, one of my favorite colleagues, Tulsi Gabbard. Aloha, thank you for being here. What are some of your recollections? Aloha, my friend. What are some of your recollections of running against then Senator Kamala Harris?
Well, she's the same person today now as she was then and as she always has been, Trey. And this is frankly what makes her an even more dangerous potential president than President Biden has been. And I think it's important for us to focus on this as they've made this change midstream. And the reason why she's more dangerous is because she is an ideologue. And her ideology is rooted in extreme policies that are far worse for our country than Joe Biden's have ever been. And I'll point to two major examples. The border is one of them. She really believes that the real problem with our open borders and this massive illegal immigration is crime and poverty in other countries. And so therefore, she believes that instead of taking immediate action to secure our border, she must first go and solve poverty and crime, not only in Central and South America, but in countries around the world, because this is who we have flooding across our borders now, people from all over the world. Obviously, this is a very, very dangerous idea.
So the Democrats would argue that they had a bipartisan border bill, but the Republicans were blocking that bill because obviously they want the border to be open. All this damage is being caused in America so that Trump can come in, be elected, and save the day. That's their idea from their perspective. Obviously, Tulsi has kind of switched over to being a Republican pretty much at this point. So that's going to be her claim here.
And secondly, she has already shown in the Biden-Harris administration that she is not going to hesitate to weaponize the Department of Justice and law enforcement to go after her political opponents, to get what she wants. And so what we've seen over the last 3.5 years has been so brazen in their abuse of power. It will be worse with Kamala Harris, who herself touts her record and what kind of president she will be as a prosecutor president, when we already know she will be a corrupt prosecutor president.
Sure.
I watched you with my own two eyes go toe-to-toe, eyeball to eyeball with some of the so-called Democrat Party leaders about the way they were kind of coronating Hillary Clinton. Why not have a convention? Why not let others run? I mean, it's not like she finished a close second to Biden. She got the same number of delegates I got, and I didn't even run.
It's weird because she wasn't even popular. They could have picked a candidate that was actually likable.
That says more about you, my friend. It really reveals and affirms what we've known all along. It's one of the reasons why I left the Democratic Party, is they are not actually a democratic party. They don't believe in our country's democracy. So just like in 2016, they rigged the presidential primary for Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders and everyone else who ran. Just like in 2020, they pre-selected which Democrat candidates they wanted voters to choose from and which of us they wanted to sideline, smear, and cancel. And just like in 2024, they stopped candidates from trying to run against Joe Biden and have an actual primary. And yet again, they are doing the exact same thing and not allowing, even in this moment, an open Democratic convention. They only care about control and power. And when you have President Obama and the Clintons and the other Democrat elite, they are the ones calling the shots. And they don't believe in we the people, even Democrat voters, having the freedom to exercise their own voices and their votes.
Tulsi, the polling indicates something of a honeymoon for the vice president. I actually found a clip from James Carville that did not have to be bleeped out. So let's listen to that together, and then I'll ask you a question on the other side.
All right, let's do it.
I have to be the skunk at the garden party. This kind of giddy elation is not going to be very helpful much longer, because that's not what we're going to be faced with.
Every year people gather to play fantasy basketball or fantasy football or whatever, and you get to pick the best players on the team. The Democratic Party has that type of opportunity, but they seem to be squandering it by taking a lesser pick.
I'm not sure they should have picked Kamala. In the perfect world, I might have had more of an open audition process.
I still rate him a pretty substantial favorite in this race, just because of the electoral challenges.
We've only got about 30 seconds, so I'll ask you a quick question. Where, in your judgment, is she most vulnerable in the eyes of voters?
She is incapable and unqualified to be president and commander-in-chief, and her record shows that. The truth shows that. The reality is, though, that whether it's Kamala Harris or any other Democrat that the elite would choose, they would all be the same. They would all pose the same direct danger and threat to our fundamental rights and freedoms in our country, because it's coming from people who care about their own power, and they don't care about the country and our Constitution. That's what
They're all NPCs. That's what she's going with here.
But every voter needs to remember as we head towards this election in November.
Well, you, Tulsi, are the reason I watched a Democrat debate. I usually don't watch Democrat primary debates, but you're the reason I did watch it. And I thought you acquitted yourself quite well in your exchanges with the now vice president, as you always do. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.
She was like the only likable candidate they had on the stage there for the Democrats. But some people were saying because she endorsed Bernie Sanders, that's why the Clintons didn't like her. So then that kind of started her falling from favor with the Democratic Party. Could be true, could not be true, could be total BS. I don't know, but there you have it. There is Tulsi Gabbard.